Since this city became the entertainment capital of the world, the idea of bringing professional sports to Las Vegas was an afterthought to many. The only thing that was considered a sport that Las Vegans could call their own was boxing, due to the long-standing history of sports betting for primetime fights at the arenas around the Las Vegas Strip. Due to sports betting being illegal in the majority of the United States in the 20th century, Vegas has always been the place to place bets for any sport. If you combine the sports betting and tourism industry at the level of prestige of Las Vegas, city officials and residents would salivate over the idea of getting a team sports franchise they could call their own. Thanks to the legalization of sports betting in the majority of the United States and new sports booking sites launching yearly, Las Vegans would salivate no more come 2020 with the move of the most infamous NFL franchise. In today's installment of Stadium Safari, we will explore the history of Allegiant Stadium. Located across Interstate 15 from Mandalay Bay and 3 miles south of the Las Vegas Strip, Allegiant Stadium sits at 3333 Al Davis Way in Paradise, Nevada. The stadium broke ground in 2017 and was completed in July 2020. The capacity sits at 65,000, which includes 128 executive suites and is expandable to 71,835. The tenants that are housed there are the Las Vegas Raiders and the UNLV Rebels football team, and is also the site for the Las Vegas Bowl. The construction cost for the stadium was $1.9 billion. After the passing of Al Davis in 2011, the ownership of the Oakland Raiders was inherited by his son Mark Davis. In 2016, Davis was planning to move the team due to political disputes and tax burdens that the team was dealing with in Oakland at their former stadium, Ring Central Coliseum. Due to Nevada's state tax laws on real estate, Davis's interest in the Las Vegas market grew. Las Vegas Sands, a casino and resort company, initiated the plans to help finance the construction costs of the stadium in partnership with Majestic Realty and the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. During this time, an idea for a new stadium site was more for the UNLV Rebels football team than it was for an NFL franchise. As Davis's interest remained high, he spent most of 2016 taking trips to Las Vegas to meet with real estate developers and city officials on a proposed stadium site. The plan was to build a state-of-the-art dome stadium in proximity to the Las Vegas Strip, where you would find high-end casinos, hotels, resorts, golf courses, restaurants, bars, and clubs for the millions of tourists that travel to Vegas every year. The dome feature would help the stadium fight off against the hot and humid weather in Vegas that took place year-round, especially during football season in the fall. There were also predetermined plans for the Raiders to move to Vegas to play at Sam Boyd Stadium, which was the previous home stadium for the UNLV Rebels football team, but that plan fell through due to the stadium being undersized for NFL standards. After discussions with politicians, including then Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval, the proposed construction cost started at $2.4 billion. Davis pledged to put $500 million toward building the stadium and moving the team to Vegas. After Las Vegas Sands chairman Sheldon Adelson's initial stadium proposal was rejected, he would put up $650 million for the new stadium as an independent investor. Majestic Realty ended up falling out of any agreement for the stadium to be built. Later on, Adelson would withdraw his investment for the stadium proposal, which caused Davis to raise his investment from $500 million to $1.15 billion. However, Clark County would increase their hotel tax to raise funds for the project, which ended up with them putting $750 million in municipal bonds to help finance the stadium construction costs. The Raiders then went to Bank of America to put forward a $650 million loan to help cover the cost, causing Mark Davis to pay much less than expected to help fund the stadium project. In the spring of 2017, the NFL owners voted for the approval of the Raiders to begin the process to move to Las Vegas. In 2019, Summerlin, Nevada-based travel and hospitality company Allegiant agreed to have naming rights for the stadium for the first 30 years of existence. The team would begin to rebrand themselves as the Las Vegas Raiders. The process of the team moving was a smooth transition due to high support from Las Vegas top earners and corporate America partners of the NFL, but the stadium's grand opening season would be subdued unexpectedly.
The coronavirus is impacting sports teams and leagues around the world. Italy is set to hold all of its sporting events in stadiums without fans until April 3rd. Playing in front of empty seats has become a trend across the globe. Here's an image from last week's Europa League soccer game in Milan. That's the part of Italy where the virus has had an outbreak. In Japan, baseball players took the field in front of an empty stadium Saturday. The country's soccer league has postponed matches through March 15th.
In March 2020, 3 months before Allegiant would open for business, the theatrics for the grand opening and the welcoming of the new Las Vegas Raiders will be halted by the COVID-19 pandemic. It was also around this time where professional sports around the world would stop altogether for months. Even with the NFL still planning to have a season take place in fall 2020, there were still concerns of fans attending games during the height of the pandemic. Fortunately, Clark County officials would open the stadium to the tenants in August 2020, but the team would only allow for closed-door practices, which meant there was no media presence to cover any headlines in person. It was also around this time when Mark Davis nicknamed the team's new stadium the Death Star. I think the stadium looks like a giant Oreo cookie without the cream filling. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. Interestingly enough, the first event that was scheduled for the stadium wasn't even going to be a football game. The inaugural event wasn't sports related at all. The debut of Allegiant Stadium was supposed to be a Garth Brooks concert, but due to the pandemic, it will be postponed until 2021. Other sporting events that were planned at the Allegiant Stadium site were the 2020 Pac-12 Conference Championship game, the 2020 Las Vegas Bowl, and the 2021 Pro Bowl, all events being delayed to 2021 or 2022. As for the Raiders, still in the process of making their debut season in Vegas, Mark Davis decided to not allow any fans to come to any home game for the season, even with Nevada officials allowing limited capacity for home games. Davis himself also vowed to not attend games until spectators were able to come to full capacity. What was precedent about this is that in a new stadium's inaugural year, not one ticket would be sold, a sacrifice that was made by the team owner himself. If you were Mark Davis, would you have done the same? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. On September 21st, 2020, the Raiders played their first ever game at the stadium against the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. The Raiders won 34-24. As for the UNLV Rebels, their decision on stadium capacity would be different. Since the Mountain West Conference season was delayed, UNLV wouldn't have their first home game until Halloween 2020 and the Battle of Nevada game against the University of Nevada, Reno. The Rebels would lose 37-19. UNLV decided to allow 2,000 fans to attend the game, which is only 3% of Allegiant's 65,000 total seating capacity. When you look back, it felt very odd for a team to get a fresh start in a new city and new stadium to end up not having any fans to see it in person. Despite what took place in 2020, this never would stunt the stadium's value for future events. For the professional sports landscape, the average lifespan for a stadium on average is 30 years, which is how long Allegiant plans to keep the naming rights. However, Allegiant Stadium is looking to expand its worth outside of American football. So far in 2021, the stadium has hosted 3 music concerts, an international soccer match, and a WWE pay-per-view event. It has even hosted a few preseason games for the Raiders. Not only has Sin City built a stadium to house a professional sports team to call their own, but they have built a stadium that will continue to supplement the growing tourism market in Las Vegas. 20 to 25 events outside of Raider and UNLV games are scheduled to have Allegiant Stadium be the host site. Future Super Bowl games, UFC events, WWE events, NCAA Final Four games, and the international soccer matches are planned to take place at the newly built venue in the entertainment capital of the world. There have also been talks of adding an MLS expansion team for Las Vegas as the third tenant of Allegiant Stadium. You're probably wondering, what else does the stadium have to offer besides being close to the world's most well-known entertainment district? According to the stadium website, the stadium plans to bring in $620 million annually and have 6,000 permanent jobs for Southern Nevada residents. Along with its 128 executive suites, the stadium has over 2,200 TVs, 44 escalators, an assortment of world-class concession stands, and even a nightclub. Like many new stadiums today, Allegiant was built as a combination for the market of sports and entertainment. Even with Allegiant being the headline of must-see new stadiums, the stadium's longevity and future are still to be determined despite the growing sports market in Las Vegas. Overall, the city is doing a service in providing a product for the 21st century sports fan, let alone the future of professional sports in Sin City. This concludes today's episode of Stadium Safari. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell to find out about future videos, and let me know what stadiums you want to see next. Thank you for watching, and remember, teams tell the stories, the stadiums illustrate them.